Hello, my name is Bill Davidson, Senior Consultant with Critical Design Associates. Today, I'd like to welcome you to our presentation of Ivanti Service Management, Build Your On-Premise Production Installation. We're going to focus on building the ISM on-premise environment. With SaaS, the application servers and database are maintained and hosted by Ivanti. On-premise, the application and database servers are installed and maintained by the customer. Our situation: the customer has installed two application servers and an MS SQL server in accordance with System Requirements document, and they've assured connectivity between the servers and access to email and other applications they may need. The installation files have been placed on the desktop of the application servers, and the appropriate license files have been placed on the desktop of the corresponding production and development application servers. We're going to install the production application server, and we'll describe some of the differences in the installation between production and the development environment. We would like to encourage the customer's participation during the installation and configuration process. The consultant will facilitate participation using remote conferencing via WebEx or some similar application. Let's take a look at our production application server. We have the installer on the desktop, and we're going to be installing Ivanti Service and Asset Manager running as administrator. The first thing that will happen is we'll be installing some requirements that are based to the application. If you see this window, it means that we've already found the installation of SQL Server 2014 Shared Management Objects. We'll go ahead and proceed. The installation wizard has now shown up. We're going to go next, accept the license terms, and install Service Manager. We're going to do a custom install. This will allow us to select things that we do need or do not need. In this case, we're not going to be installing the Operations Console. The Operations Console will be installed on the development server and is only used from that point. We're also not installing Discovery because we're doing a simple install. If we need to come back and install Discovery elements, we can do that by running through the installer again and adding that. We'll take a few minutes for this installation process to run. Once the installer is completed, the System Configuration Wizard window will open. Here we're on page 1, Configure Application Settings. We're going to set a multiple server deployment for production. You notice that the configuration database server name here is selected. Once the configuration database is loaded, we'll click Next and scroll to the bottom of the screen. Here we see that a login ID has been created for a user that's always going to be in the system. We'll give it a password. Traditionally, we use manage all lowercase. You may want to use a different password. Be sure and remember what it is. Our first name here is HSW. Our last name is admin. And our email address. Every user in the system has an email address that's got to be unique. In this case, we're just going to use a bogus email since this account's never going to actually be used for anything other than just testing. And we'll also be inserting the license file. So we'll browse to our desktop. And in the installer, I have our license file. We'll open that up. Our domain name will be called Central Config, as you can see from all the data that I put in here. And we'll click Next. The next page of the configuration wizard comes up with the server management settings. Our application database, as we can see, is our WinBE6F, WinBE6F. The application database name defaults to HeatSM. We're going to use that, and again, we're using SQL authentication. We're going to test the connection. Here we have the option when we create the system database, we have the option of not including demo data if we want to. I like to include demo data to give our customer an opportunity to see what has been done and reference some existing incidents, service requests, things like that. So we'll go ahead and load the application database now. Again, we get our default for the location of the database. We're going to elect to just use the SQL defaults. This will take a few minutes. Depending on the power of your server, it could take longer than a few minutes, but we'll just let it run. Now the application database is loaded, so now we're going to go next, and it's going to ask for some information about the account for the application. So here we're going to again provide a password. A first name, and an email address. Again, just a bogus address. We have to have something unique in here. We're using the machine name to access the application. You could use a domain name if you wanted to, but let's just go ahead and do that. And we'll come up now on the application server settings page. You can see that the configuration server is the server that we're on, and that's the host name of the server. We're going to use that for surveys. Later, if we want to, we can install reporting services. We're using the local system account, although you could use a domain account here if you wanted to. We'll go ahead and test this connection, make sure that we get to it, and go to the other feature settings. Here we're telling it where we want to keep logs, use the temp folder, and cache. Again, the application server is our local server, and we're not using SSL, so we're using default ports. Our inbound web server also is going to be the same as our current application server, and we're just going to set these and go next. Now the upgrade system is kind of interesting. In 2018.3.1, for some reason, it shows the metadata package version to be 2018.3.0. We're going to go ahead and do an upgrade of that. And here it's going to ask us to enter a login to be able to do that upgrade. The username in this case is going to be your HSW admin user with a password. It's going to execute a login test. Once the login test is completed, it's going to apply the patch to do the upgrade to the configuration database. The upgrade is complete, so we'll just go next. This will take us to the last page. Again, we're going to test the connection and set up the metrics server. Once the connection metrics server to the metrics server has been made, we'll go ahead and create and load the metrics database. That runs pretty quick. Here I'm just going to type in metrics, save that, and then map that to the ISM application, and finish. At this point, your server will normally restart. The server has restarted, and I'm taking a look at services to make sure that all my Ivanti services are running. Looks like they're doing just fine. So now we're just going to log into the application to make sure that everything is working correctly. We'll double click on the icon here and it will bring up the application. We're going to use our Heat admin user and the password that we've chosen during the system configuration and log in. Sometimes it'll take it a couple of minutes before it actually brings up the different workspaces. But we're in. We can see different business objects, and we've done with our installation and system configuration. We sure hope that you've enjoyed the presentation, and we look forward to working with you. We're going to have some additional presentations to provide detail on the application configuration and testing, deployment where we're preparing for go live, and upgrading and updating our application that might come up in the future. Hope you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye.